I'll be honest, I did not think that the JJ Redick thing with the LA Lakers was going to be a success. It didn't even have that much to do with how he would be as a coach. He's had interviews with other teams before to be their head coach. He didn't get the job or didn't take the job, maybe knew he would get the Lakers job eventually. Didn't really have anything to do with his basketball mind, his ability to lead a team, the analytics mindset that he brings to the team. It had nothing to do with any of that. It was just a weird situation. Because when he accepted the Lakers coaching job, him and LeBron had started a podcast together like a few months prior. And I just thought that the dynamic of LeBron's literal podcast partner and a guy that's as young as JJ Redick is being the head coach of the team would be strange. But I'll be honest, I mean, it's only been a few games, but this Lakers team looks completely different. And there's obviously one main difference between the two teams from last year to this year. The roster is mostly the same, a couple of additions. I think Dalton Connect has been a nice injection of shooting for this team, but the difference from how the Lakers looked under Darvin Ham compared to how they look under JJ Redick is just night and day. And there's a couple of key differences here. The first one that a lot of people pointed out is just offensively, there's a lot more movement, but movement with a purpose. It's one thing for a coach to come in and say, hey guys, we need to move around more. We need to swing the ball. We need to have guys cutting and moving. That's fine. It's obviously good to have that as a principle of the offense, but there's so much more purpose to it. There's more screening. They're not just relying on LeBron creating something or Austin Reeves creating something in a ball screen. They're getting so many more easy baskets because of the offensive movement. And I think that's something that we knew JJ was going to try and implement, but the fact that it's looked so good already against two quality opponents has been really, really impressive. The other thing is they're playing faster. Increasing their pace has allowed them to get even more easy baskets in transition. Again, that's just been a theme for Redick so far, is how can we create easy offense? How can we make things easier on LeBron, easier on Anthony Davis? LeBron hasn't even really been that involved offensively in terms of scoring or assists in the first two games, and they've still been really good. But the biggest thing for me by far is something that I think is going to continue to improve, and it's something that the team they played last night, the Phoenix Suns, are also trying to do. They're taking more threes. I think last night they were 14 for 27 from three. Redick has said openly that he wants them to shoot between 40 and 50 threes a game. And that's just the modern NBA shot profile. Everybody saw it last year and this year with the Celtics, where half their shots are coming from three-point range. And if you're a team like Denver last year, Phoenix last year, the Lakers last year, that doesn't have enough volume from three, it doesn't matter how good the rest of your offense is. It's just a math problem at this point. That is what we have gotten to with the crazy amount of three-point volume in the leagues. If you want to be a highly competitive team and contend for a title, you pretty much have to be in the top 10 in three-point volume. And the Lakers have taken some massive steps towards that. And it helps that at least against Phoenix, they were shooting the ball well. Now, again, I think 27 is actually a low number for Redick. I think he wants that number to be up closer to 40 or 50. But it has been a clear emphasis and improvement from them. And obviously it's still early, and I'm not picking the Lakers to make the finals or anything, but this was a funny stat. Every single LeBron team that has started 2-0, as the Lakers have this year, ended up making the finals in the season that they started 2-0. So that's at least interesting. And I think as we get closer to the deadline, this could potentially shift some priorities here for the Lakers. Obviously, they brought in Bronny, they brought in JJ Redick. It's clear that LeBron is running a lot of stuff there with the Lakers, but over the last season and a half, they've been less willing to use up future assets to try and create a better team around LeBron. When he first got there, they were willing to do anything they could, including make this big trade for Russell Westbrook and then move him and some other picks to try and create a championship team. And obviously it worked in 2020, but over the last year and a half to 2 years, they haven't been as willing to move future pieces around and to really try and go all in for a title. But I mean, if they look this good under Redick a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, we could be looking at a team that's looking to make a move at the deadline. They still need better perimeter defense. Like when the second unit comes in, they've got Dalton Connect trying to guard some of the better wing players in the league. That's just not going to go very well. Like Austin Reeves can guard a little bit. LeBron, if you really need him to in the postseason, can guard, but they don't have a true wing defender. And a lot of their bench is pretty small. Like you got Max Christie out there, who isn't exactly a great defender. Gabe Vincent, who's small. I already mentioned Connect, Jackson Hayes. Those are the four guys that are playing off the bench. And it's not like you have great wing defenders in the starting lineup either. So whether it be, I know Jeremy Grant has been a player that has been mentioned. This doesn't count in this category, but like Zach LaVine has been someone that has been mentioned as a possible upgrade for this team in the middle of the year. It's only a few games in, but these are the things you could start to think about a month, 2 months from now if the JJ Redick Lakers continue to look this good. And with all that being said, I think the biggest thing is not necessarily something where you look at the numbers and you say, oh, increase in threes, increase in pace, increase in scoring, they're guarding well. There's just a different feel to this team. There's a confidence level that this team has and a competency that they have that is very, very clear. They were down 20-something to the Suns in the first half of this game last night because they just made every single three that they looked at, and they just kind of chipped away. They started to make some shots. They weren't trying to do too much. They got Anthony Davis way more involved, and Davis specifically has been awesome in these first two games. And we're going to have to see how they kind of manage that throughout the year. They're still dealing with two injury prone, in LeBron's case, old stars that are kind of the pillars of their team. If anything goes wrong with those guys, it's going to be a tough season. Last year, they got really, really lucky from an injury perspective with those two guys, but it's kind of like for the Olympics, right? It's like, okay, we still have two of, at least on the Olympic team, the 12 best players on the team and two of the best 20 players in the entire league on this team. And you can think what you want to about the rest of the roster, but now that they have a competent coach in place, the Lakers could be a bit of a scary team during the season. And the other interesting part of this is what may or may not happen in the post-LeBron era. If JJ Redick establishes himself as a real difference maker as a head coach, of which there are not very many in the NBA, that is a very, very short list of maybe 5 or 6 guys. If he establishes himself as like a franchise pillar, a guy that should be there long term, then maybe the Lakers have a model for real sustained long-term success that they haven't really had since like Phil Jackson was there. Like, this is not a team that over the last 2 to 3 decades has really had a ton of great coaches. It's literally been Phil Jackson and not much else. Frank Vogel, of course, won a title with them, but it's been a lot of, retread coaches from other teams. They haven't really been able to bring in a guy like this that feels like a true difference maker. And when LeBron leaves, maybe Davis is still there. They're able to attract some stars in the future. This is a fantastic asset for the Lakers to potentially have. Now, as I said, it's 2 games in, and he's unproven, and he's LeBron's podcast co-host, and maybe in the middle of the year they lose 5 games in a row and things completely fall apart. But at least to this point, I can say that I am confident in what JJ Redick has been doing so far as a Lakers head coach. Now, the only other thing I will say is it is distinctly possible this is all relative improvement. What I mean by that is going from Darvin Ham to JJ Redick might have been a dramatic increase in coaching, but that doesn't necessarily mean that JJ Redick is great or he's going to be a top 5 head coach or anything like that. It might just be that by the time the season ended last year, Darvin Ham had just lost this Lakers team so much, to such an extent, that any kind of competent coach coming in and having that new coach energy would provide a dramatic improvement for the Lakers. There's a ton of funny clips going around about some of the huddles for Darvin Ham where he's saying salute and everything. These guys, first of all, those are all like media cut down. Like, the team has to let the TV station or ESPN or whatever keep those clips. They have to approve them. So like, they always sound terrible. It's why every single time they go to the huddle, it's like, hey guys, let's get back on defense, because they're not going to tell them how they want to guard the ball screen or the down screen or how they want to switch, or how they want to attack on offense, because they don't want everybody else to know that. So the team has to approve that. So that's one of the funny things about the clips. But it's distinctly possible that Darvin Ham just was not a very good head coach and potentially was a terrible one. And the Lakers went through 2 years of that. Now JJ shows up, and even if he's just kind of competent and then he's new and there's this new energy, things are going to look good. That is a real possibility. If the JJ thing doesn't work out, if a year from now, 2 years from now, we're all thinking, okay, this probably wasn't a great call, but we all liked it through 2 games, it might have just been because of the difference between him and Darvin Ham.